On the 39th episode of the HatTrick Sports Podcast, we're going to talk about the Ippei gambling scandal, the first round of March Madness, the results of the MLB Sueol Series, some NFL trades, and end it off with some Hall of Fame. Yay or nay? Roll it! Welcome to HatTrick Sports, starring your host, Isaiah Carpenter. Bringing you the biggest sports headlines every week. This is the HatTrick Sports Podcast. Alright, so we are just going to discuss the elephant in the room for this episode. Micah is no longer part of the podcast. His decision. We're just going to pretty much leave it at that. And then we'll just hop right into sports. So, it's officially March Madness season, and there has been a lot of upsets. All right. So, there are no more perfect brackets at the time of this filming. We are filming on Sunday, the 24th, at around noon. And there are no more perfect brackets left. I think there might be a couple in the women's, and then there are a couple, brackets that are imperfect, immaculately incorrect. So Duquesne upsets BYU. What? Duquesne upsets BYU 71-67. That busted my bracket. I think I'm at 68% in my CBS Sports League, and then I'm at like 71% in the ESPN bracket that I'm in. They upset BYU 71-67. Mississippi State upsets Michigan State Michigan State upsets Mississippi State 69-51. Not a huge upset, but I mean the rankings are still there, and the higher ranking one, higher being the higher number, the worst ranks. Yale, the 13 seed, upsets Auburn 78-76 after a missed free throw, 2 block shots, and just one straight-up missed three-pointer by Auburn in the last few seconds for Yale to win the game. That is one of the bigger upsets that has happened in the last week in the first rounds. Northwestern upsets FAU 77-65. I think I just said that. No, I was talking about Yale. So, yeah, Northwestern, the 9 seed, upsets FAU, the 8 seed. Texas A&M, another 9 and 8 seed, upsets Nebraska 98-83. That is a 15-point upset, which 15 points in college basketball is like 4 or 5 minutes worth of points. Texas A&M upsets Nebraska 98-9. I just said that. All right, I need to check these off. James Madison upsets Wisconsin 72-61. The 12 seed upsets the 5 seed. Again, it's very rare you see those kinds of upsets happen with that big differential of points. North Carolina, NC State upsets Texas Tech 80-67. The biggest upset of the week, in my opinion at least, is Oakland upsets Kentucky 80-76. Kentucky was huge favorites, and that is what busted a lot of people's brackets. After that game, it went down multiple percent, especially after it was already down quite a bit. Colorado, the 10 seed, upsets Florida, the 7 seed, not the 7 seed, Yes, the 7 seed, 102-100. Again, Deion Sanders with football. And then these guys blow some upsets in college and March Madness. Oregon upsets South Carolina 87-73. And there was only one upset in the Midwest, and that was that Oregon game. So the Midwest really helped a lot of brackets out. FAU, Dusty May, will coach for Michigan. And then women's head coach Kim Mulkey is very upset with Washington Post. According to reports and to her herself, they have been trying to contact her for over 2 years, trying to get questions out of her. It's not specific what, but apparently a few days before the Women's March Madness began, she was asked by a reporter over a dozen questions, which according to Kim was impossible to do while being prepared for this tournament coming up. And so she threatens to sue the Washington Post if they come out with any false reports or articles coming out about her. She is very against journalism at this point and was very upset with the Washington Post. She doesn't often have opening statements, and there she just opened it up with a 4-minute speech about why these journalists are bad and why she's not going to answer any questions and all of that. So it's unclear about what it was referring to, but all everybody knows is that she's very upset. What else is there? Women's March Madness ref Tommy, I don't know if it's pronounced Tommy Paris was removed at half from the Chattanooga, North Carolina game because she has a master's degree from Chattanooga. I don't understand why they don't have these background checks implemented before they ref games. Like, obviously, it's the biggest tournament in women's college basketball of the year. It's March Madness. And they don't do background checks on the refs to see, like, where they graduated from. Because this Paris lady has a master's in Chattanooga, and they just put her out there on the court. But she was removed at half, and it didn't really have an effect on the game. I didn't see or know of any cheating or persuasive calls for Chattanooga from her. But again, this is for NCAA basketball. You got to do better. You got to do your background checks before you assign these refs a job. I think that is it for March Madness. There's more to come. Round 2 coming soon. The second round, we'll have UConn and Northwestern, San Diego State, and Yale. That is where Yale, in my opinion, will go down, and San Diego State will face UConn. And then I think UConn wins from there, and then so on and so on. Illinois and Iowa State will be in the Sweet 16, the 2 and 3 seed. I got Iowa State in that. I don't know. I think it could be a close game. Again, the 2 and 3 seeds, you can't get any better than that. North Carolina and Michigan. North Carolina won 85-69. So North Carolina is in the Sweet 16. And then whoever wins the Grand Canyon Alabama game will also face North Carolina in the Sweet 16. I have my money on Alabama. I think that the 4 and 12 seed, I think it's pretty obvious that Alabama will win, and I think I think that Alabama might have a shot against North Carolina. I think North Carolina will win, but I think Alabama will put up some good points against them. Clemson and Baylor play in the second round today, actually. So by the time this comes out, they will already have been playing. I got Baylor winning it all, so I think Baylor will beat Clemson, and then whoever wins that Clemson-Baylor game will play Arizona, and I think Baylor has a shot at beating Arizona, and I truly do think Baylor will win it all because Dayton and Arizona won that, so they are in the Sweet 16, and then I think Baylor will make it to Sweet 16, and then eventually the Elite 8, and then Final 4, and so on. Now, on our right side of the bracket, Houston and Texas A&M, the 1 and 9 seed. Houston, I think, is obviously going to win that, but we'll see. Whoever wins that, obviously Sweet 16. And same with James Madison and Duke. Duke, I think, will also be there, so I think it'll be Houston and Duke. And I think Duke puts up some points, and I think Duke beats Houston in the Sweet 16. And in the South, so this is the South. We have NC State and Oakland. NC State won that to knock Oakland out after their upset against Kentucky. If you can beat Kentucky, why can't you beat NC State? I don't know. I will never know. Was it luck? Maybe. But yeah. So NC State's in the Sweet 16. And going on right now is Colorado and Marquette. Marquette's going to win this one and go against NC State. Now, in the Midwest, where there was only one upset in the first rounds, we have Purdue and Utah State. I think Purdue will win that. Then we got Zaga in Kansas. Zaga already won, so Gonzaga's in the Sweet 16. And then, again, I think Purdue will beat Utah State and end up going against Gonzaga, and we'll see what happens there. Something happened with my computer screen. I apologize. And then we have Oregon and Creighton. Creighton beat Oregon. It wasn't really close, 86-73. So Creighton is in the Sweet 16. And Tennessee beat Texas. The 2 seed beat the 7 seed. And so it's Tennessee, Creighton in the Sweet 16. I have Tennessee going to the Elite 8. And then I think that's all for the brackets. Next week, we'll talk more about how it'll be in the Final Four, in either the Elite 8 or Final Four when I film the next episode. But we'll be talking about that. And then I'll share with you my predictions. Obviously, I think Baylor will win. But if they're out by then then I'll choose somebody else. And we'll just keep going from there. All right. Now on to the subject we have been denying for the last week. This subject is a week old, but it is important that I talk about it here. Ippei Mizuhara is under investigation for massive theft through his best friend, his co-worker, his money maker, Shohei Ohtani. All right, so Shohei Ohtani's interpreter, Ippei, they have been friends for, as far as my research, over a decade. I mean, there's pictures of him in 2013. His best friend when starting in the MLB in 2018 with the Angels. They spend pretty much every day together. Shohei can't really do much without him because of Americans don't really speak Japanese that well. But he is under some fire, and I hope this doesn't go down to Shohei. It doesn't. So we don't have enough facts yet to make an opinion, a full opinion. I could tell you that Ippei has been fired. No Dodgers coaches, managers, anybody with the Dodgers will comment on it. Shohei has not talked or spoke to the public at all about anything since the investigation has started. And it was after the first game of the Sueol Series. So imagine this. You're 12-hour time difference. You're focusing on sleep, getting ready for a game. You're in a whole new country. Like, you're doing all this. So you play your first game, you win. Immediately, you find out that your best friend has betrayed you and potentially, allegedly, stole $4.5 million in gambling debts. And then you have to go to bed and then wake up the next morning, practice, and play another game in a different country, a different time zone, and a whole new different atmosphere, knowing that your best friend allegedly betrayed you and stole almost $5 million from you because of his gambling debts. Now, it has been reported that it was from soccer, so allegedly Ippei was betting on soccer games, and it wasn't baseball games. And so ESPN reporters have been asking, we're going to back up. ESPN had an interview with Ippei, and he basically told a bunch of lies. He came out a few days later saying that they were lies. Now, was Ippei paid to say that? I don't know. He claims he didn't, but again, it's a little fishy. Why would you tell lies and then a few days later come out and say, these were lies, what I said was not true, and the fact of the matter. So it's very suspicious right now. So again, all that's official is that he was fired and that there were $4.5 million and $500,000 increments taken out of Shohei's bank account. That's all we know for 100% sure. As of Friday, MLB opens investigation for this Ippei scandal. The officials and FBI have been all over it. And Ippei, in my opinion, again, we don't know too much information about it. I think he will serve some jail time in the U.S. His wife unfollows him on Instagram. So why would his wife unfollow him on Instagram if Shohei was gambling that money himself? I don't know. Maybe she just didn't want to be caught up in the drama. But again, it's not looking good for Ippei, and it's starting to look good for Shohei. Not look good for Shohei. It looked better from Shohei than the bottom we can go. He lied about graduating from UC Riverside. He lied about being an interpreter for the Red Sox. He went to casino dealing school but quit and admits he's a gambling addict. Now, we know most of that is true. We're not 100% sure on the admits to gambling addict, if he's a gambling addict. That's the only thing that we're not 100% sure on, because that's something that he could say or alter or lie about. Everything else is a fact. He said these things, and these companies have said, no, he has never had an affiliation with our school or team or any of it. So again, once you lie about that kind of stuff, and then you're told, I forget the word, accused of gambling, it's not looking good for you. But the bookie's attorney, so basically, they were betting money to this bookie in Orange County, California. The bookie's attorney says that the client, the bookie, has never communicated with Shohei in their life. So that's, again, was the bookie just trying to, are they being paid by somebody or the attorney, or I don't know. It's all very confusing right now. But again, this is all the research that I've done and that we have heard from sources. And whether it's true or not, we don't know. Whether we can make opinion or not, we can't 100% right now. I have heard that a lot of Dodgers fans aren't making a full opinion on it yet because of the Trevor Bauer incident. Everybody just immediately assumed that he was guilty, found out that they dropped the case. He was declared innocent. So could this be the same thing with Shohei and Ippei? I don't know. Like I said, no players or coaches will comment or go to press about this or answer any questions. Dave Roberts, was asked about this, multiple different questions surrounding the topic. He claims that he could not make any comments at the time, that they were just focused on winning, and that Shohei is ready to just start winning and playing. So Ippei for the second game, and for the second game, Yamamoto was supposed to pitch, and he did pitch. He pitched one inning. He gave up 5 runs because Max Muncy doesn't know how to field a ball. So Ippei was supposed to be the interpreter for that game, but I'm not sure what his exact name is. But Doc says Will the Thrill is their new interpreter for that second game of the Sueol Series. I'm sure they hired somebody else or in the process of hiring somebody else to be a full-time interpreter for one or the other. But Will the Thrill came out, the second-string interpreter for the Los Angeles Dodgers, came out with $1 billion worth of guys to talk, to communicate with them, and he did a good job, I think. I mean, Yamamoto obviously didn't have the best start, but that's not Will the Thrill's fault. And then Shohei looked good the second game, thanks to Will the Thrill. So I think Will the Thrill is the MVP for the second game of the Sueol Series, even though the Dodgers lost, scoring 11 runs, 12 runs, however many runs it was. I want to thank Will the Thrill. In the first game of the Sueol Series, there was a bomb threat for Shohei Ohtani. The Japanese police cleared the building out. There was no bombs found. But, again, don't do that. Like, it must have been very stressful for the Dodgers in that two-day span, seeing a bomb threat for the $700 million player and then the $700 million player's interpreter, his voice pretty much, being accused of gambling. And so back to the Shohei thing. So Shohei's attorneys, law offices, are the ones who first brought it up to the Dodgers, to whoever, accusing Ippei of stealing the money. And my question to all these people who think Shohei is guilty, why would Shohei's attorneys bring it up if Shohei was guilty? Wouldn't they just be like, yeah, it's $5 million. It's almost nothing of your contract. I understand that he has a lot of deferred money. But again, what's $4.5 million if it means he can never play again or never receive more money? And why would his attorneys bring it up if he was guilty? So that's what I'm thinking. Like, hey, Shohei is, in my opinion, probably not guilty yet, just because his attorneys brought it up. And if his attorneys never brought it up, hey, he lost $4.5 million, but he gets $700 million later down the line. But if you bring it up now, you get that $4.5 million back or whatever, but you don't get the $700 million. So it doesn't make sense if he's guilty and his lawyers come out and accuse Ippei of this stuff. What I want to kind of wonder, I guess, and there's no way of asking because he doesn't speak English that well, is Shohei still talking to Ippei? Like, I wonder, there's the clip of him talking to each other at the end of the first game after they won. Is that like the last time they've talked since? Like, how does that work for a decade worth of friendships? You just won your first game in your Dodger debut, working for $700 million, working for months to get to this one game. Is that like the last time you talked to your best friend? Like, how does that work? So I'm very curious about that and wondering how that worked out in the end. So the attorneys, Shohei's attorneys claimed that Ohtani did not know or agree with the gambling debts that he had to pay off, so he didn't agree to the $4.5 million wire transferred into the gambling debts. Again, that's just another small fact that has happened, but we'll see what happens. But again, I don't think Shohei's attorneys would bring it up if he was guilty, just because of money-wise. All right. I think that's it for the Shohei stuff. Some small stuff has happened in the MLB recently. JD Martinez signs a 1-year, $12 million contract with the Mets. Good for him. I think he's just slowing down pretty much in his season. I'm going to look how long he's been playing now. He's been playing since 2011. He's getting older. I can find his birthday. He is 36 years old, so yeah, he's getting older. 3-time Silver Slugger, 6-time All-Star. We are going to use him for Hall of Fame yay or nay today, but I think he's just going to sign these 1-year contracts until he retires, and that might be after this season. That might be after the next few seasons. The Rockies acquired Jake Cave, the first baseman from the Phillies. Again, not huge news, but the Rockies need to figure out something because the NL West is going to be hard to beat. Again, the Padres showed a lot of determination in the second game of the Sueol Series, and the Dodgers obviously have billions of dollars worth of players on the field, so the Rockies need to do something to try to get up there and try to compete with these teams. Now, will they? I don't know, but I think they're trying. What else? Yamamoto and Max Muncy do not look good in the second game of the Sueol Series. I kind of touched on this a few minutes ago, but Yamamoto pitched 1 inning, gave up 5 runs, not worth waking up at 6-4. And again, just very unfortunate to see that it was mainly Max Muncy's fault. He just sucks at third base. Put him at DH. Put him at backup DH behind Shohei. I understand Shohei's at DH. Just get him off of the field because he's given up too many runs. He's giving up too many wins. He's giving up too many seasons for us. And then Yamamoto's pitching wasn't the best. People were saying, was he tipping pitches? I don't think he was, because if you do the overlay of all the different curveballs, fastballs, sliders, it's the exact same motion. The ball's like halfway to the plate at the same thing, and it just splits 3 different ways. So it's just wild how he can pitch. But again, they just kept hitting balls off of him. I think that's it for MLB. We're going to move on to a little bit of NFL stuff. Patriots head coach Jared Mayo says drafting QB at number 3 is a priority right now, but all the options are still open for us. So I think Jared just wants a good team. I think that Belichick didn't really leave him a great team to end off with, and I think Mayo's just trying to get the team up to where he wants it to be. And again, I think a QB is obviously a big part about a football team, and you can't really do much without a QB. And then L'Jarius Sneed to the Titans for some draft picks. Now, there are a lot of people saying that this isn't good for the Chiefs. Like, why would they give that up? Like, the draft picks aren't that good. What was this? And honestly, I'm not sure, but he is now officially a Titan. All right, I think that is it for all I have. So now we're going to move on to Hall of Fame. Yay or nay? There we go. All right, Hall of Fame, yay or nay? J.D. Martinez. So he just signed the 1-year, $12 million contract with the Mets. He is the 6-time All-Star, 2018 World Series with the Red Sox, 3-time Silver Slugger. He has played for, 5 different teams, the Astros, the Tigers, the Diamondbacks, the Dodgers, the Red Sox, and now the Mets. That's a lot of teams. He's like one of those Rich Hill, good, immaculate grid guys. He has a career WAR of 30, over 5,700 at-bats, over 1,600 hits, over 300 home runs, and a career batting average of .287. He has over 1,000 RBIs. He has 874 OPS and a 133 OPS plus. All right, so he has some really good stuff. He led the league in RBIs with 130 in 2018, and in total bases with 358 in 2018. He was 4th in MVP, and he won Silver Slugger and was an All-Star in 2018. 2018 was the peak of his career. So if that's what we're basically looking at for the top, yeah, did he did win an MVP, or no, he didn't win he was 15th in MVP in 2015 when he was also an All-Star and the Silver Slugger. So that 2015 to 2018 era was the peak of his career, at least in my opinion. I'm going to look at his, it's not showing it, but 2019, he kind of falls off a little bit. He's still an all-star, but he's 21st place for MVP. And then since then, he played for the Dodgers in 2023. He did okay, not great. Again, batting average is where he lacked quite often. He reached above a 300 batting average, which is a Hall of Fame stat in my opinion. If you have above a 300 career batting average, you are guaranteed into the Hall of Fame nowadays. And he did from 2016 to 2019. He had a batting average of over 300. With his highest being a 330 in 2018. Again, like I said, the peak of his career. What else did he lead in? In 2021, he led in doubles with 42, which is kind of weird because he's not a super fast guy. He's stolen 26 total stolen bases in his 13 years. So again, that's on average 2 a year, and there were multiple years where he had 0. So getting all those doubles is because he's a power hitter, but not a home run hitter, if that makes sense. So with all these stats stated, and again, 5 years with Boston, 4 with Detroit, 3 with Houston, 1 with Diamondbacks, 1 with Dodgers, and 1 future being with the Mets, I think he is in the Hall of Very Good. I think that his wins above replacement after 13 seasons should be higher than 30. And maybe this year he has another breakout season, but again, that's hard for a 36-year-old. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he goes through this season, then retires, or I'm not exactly sure what he does. But he is in the Hall of Very Good. He is not in the HatTrick Sports Hall of Fame, or in the HatTrick Sports Hall of Fame. So that is a nay for me. Again, grid stats. Again, if you're leading the league in a total of 3 different things across 13 seasons, you need to do a little bit more than that to be in the Hall of Fame. You need to be the greatest at one point to be in the greatest of all time, and he never won an MVP. Again, he got very close, but never actually won one. So I think that is it. Again, a short podcast. We're going to have some guests on here in the future. But thank you for watching the 39th episode of the HatTrick Sports Podcast. Make sure to check us out on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Google Podcasts, YouTube, anywhere you listen to podcasts. And check us out at shophattricksports.com. And we'll see you guys next week. All right, see you.